Hey guys, welcome back to the Interceptor. We're here with another Alliance War video, and this is going to be the first war of the new season, season 59, and we finally have real war back. We don't have any more of that garbage war raids that I struggle to even call Alliance War because of how awful and how different it truly is to the real thing. But we're starting out here with a really fun fight. We have Attuma against Path 7, the Shrug Off node, I have Gambit versus Attuma. And this matchup doesn't exactly go as well as I thought. Because if you are only throwing medium attacks to take less damage back, then you're going to have Attuma throwing special 1s, which is not what you want. You want him throwing special 2s in this matchup. So I am going to have to do some hits that I'm not going to have the... I forget what the term is. It's like kinetic. A kinetic hit, that's what it's called, I believe. The hits that don't take thorns damage, like Gambit's medium attacks. And when he does go unstoppable, we're just going to have to block in the corner and like dex heavy attacks, because obviously there's nothing we can do, and it is the best way to stop us from dying, right? Because we have to remove the unstoppable, and it's better to just wait it out. And it looks like at this point we have to bait one more special attack and then the fight should be over. But we've already gotten down to half health and I have not gotten hit in this fight. If you are wondering, Sam, why don't you just throw your special attack and kill him? Because the game has a interaction where if you kill the opponent while they have a damage reflection mechanic going on and they die, it will revive them and kill you. It's a really weird interaction, but basically I think it only happens with special 3s actually, because the way the game calculates, or rather the order in which the game counts damage, is it counts the damage reflection before it calculates the special 3 damage, which is not the way that it works with special 1 and special 2. So I think if you did it with a special 1 and special 2, you would live. But with a special 3, you could be at 50% health, throw your special 3 against an opponent with 1% health, and as long as your special 3 does enough damage to do that 50% of your health, you will die and they will live. It's very, very strange, and I don't know exactly why it works that way, but that is the way that it works. And now Peni is building up a lot of aggression furies because I'm trying to get her shield down, but what I forgot is that my Angela is a high enough sig that Penny's auto block is never going to trigger. It triggered once, and I didn't have enough buffs at the time. So, yeah, I don't know what I was really doing here. I think I was playing it safe, but it was like way too safe. Also, I don't know why I didn't mention this at the beginning of the video. This is the debut for my brand new rank 4 Angela, who I did take to rank 4 in the off season after we already knew what the tactic was going to be, because I knew she would be amazing for it. And I think here we're going to bait the special 2, yeah, and then just finish the fight off. Really easy. Probably misplayed that fight quite a bit. I could have been hitting into the shield a bit more, because Angela would have dealt with the auto block, but it's fine. We're okay. And we have some shocker fights now. We have 1, 2, 3 shocker fights, I believe. 1, 2. I think it's 2 actually. But anyways, obviously my shocker is rank 4. He's been rank 4 for quite a while, and I have used him on attack quite a lot. I haven't really been making videos other than Alliance War videos, so I didn't make a video reacting to the tactic like I have in the past a few times. But basically my thoughts on the tactic are that it just does nothing. So I've yet to see anyone die to the tactic, and I don't think it's likely we ever will see someone die specifically from the tactic, like in the sense that if the tactic was not there, they would not have died. But maybe there's a scenario where you like live a special 3 at 1% and then the tactic finishes you off. But that's basically all it would be, and at that point you're dead anyways. But I messed this fight up. This is rank 4 Onslaught on path 8. This would be node 26. And I ate a special 1. I just misdexed it earlier in the fight. So I did trigger my auto block, which consumed a bunch of my charges. Here, I don't know why I pushed L2, but I guess I can just block it. I think I'm going to block the... Oh, no, I think at this point I'm just going to be like, yeah, okay, you're dead, bro. And I think I'm just going to combo into a strike or into a combo. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so we're good. And the fight is over, but Onslaught really did not want to throw a special 1 or a special 2. I tried baiting both. But yeah, he's going to go down here. This is way, way overkill at this point. He probably has like 300,000 health left, and this did 560,000, so just under double. This fight next, this is actually a pretty decent placement. I'd never seen Black Panther on this node, but I actually don't hate it. But we're going to use Angela for this. This is, of course, the damage reflection while the opponent is stunned, as well as the 90% protection with the knockdowns. And the reason I think this is a pretty good placement is because unless you have a slow on the opponent, the only way you can get your knockdowns is with the special attacks. You can't go for heavies, because if he has more than 10 charges, he will consume those charges to trigger an unstoppable. So, not a good idea. But, pretty straightforward fight. We're just gonna not parry, we're just gonna combo, throw some special 1s to keep the armor breaks up. Depending on the fight, sometimes with Angela, you want to go for a special 3. So the main 2 damage cycles you're going to see from Angela are going to be special 1 and special 3. You don't really throw a special 2 often unless it's going to kill the opponent. But that's what we're doing here. Just going for some special 1s, mostly because I want to be keeping that protection on cooldown for the whole fight, or as much as I can. The armor breaks honestly don't do that much. They're not the most potent in the world, and I guess it kind of makes sense that they're not that potent, because you get 1 for every buff you have, and there's no limit to that. If you have another source of gaining buffs, then you just keep stacking it and it goes insane. But this fight is going to go down. Just going to block the special 1. If I had gotten hit there, I would have taken a ton of damage back, so just played it safe, went for the block. Now we have a pretty fun fight and a matchup that I'm actually going to do multiple other times. At this point, when I'm recording this, War 4. Excuse me, it is 1 p.m. I do not know why I am yawning, but at the time I'm recording this, War 4 is already over, so we're already a third of the way into the season, and I've just not had time to record my War videos, but we're going to try to catch up now. Oh, by the way, I was at the gym when I was doing these fights, which is why you could see the music playing. It's obviously not playing, it's obviously paused for these clips, but here I was just counting my energy to see how much I would need to get to my final fights. But Bishop on this node, if you don't place a defender on this node that has buffs of their own that they start with, you're just, unless you're using a buff immune, obviously, you're able to just completely abuse this node to give you power gain. And with a champion like Shocker, you can just throw special 1s into the block, not consume your dex buff, and you just keep gaining power, which is something we're going to do several times, not just in this fight. So yeah, we're going to trigger our dex, and then we're just going to kind of dash back and wait for us to get power. Our first special 1's going to cost 0 power. Throw it into the block, because if you do it correctly into the block, then you're not going to have to worry about the opponent countering you unless they have, like, unless Deathless Thanos or something like that, where they have a counter punch mechanic hitting into their block, or like Killmonger, that would happen as well. But now we're going to go for the special 2, and this is going to kill him. 69 charges. Nice. Actually, it got up to 70 before the heavy. Probably shouldn't have done that hit because it would have been cooler. But yeah, pretty easy fight. Bishop couldn't really do anything, and It's already happened 3 times this season that I've taken that node with Shocker, and I'm sure it'll happen more times. So you'll be seeing that interaction quite a bit. But now we have node 45, Iron Man Infinity War with Angela. This is a pretty straightforward fight. This is Bleed and Cold Snap Hazard Shift. Now, one thing I do want to say is that with the way Angela reduces the duration of Hazard Shift, if the opponent is running max deep wounds, she cannot reduce the duration to 0. She can reduce it to whatever the flat rate is for max deep wounds, but she cannot reduce it below that because of the way that the game calculates it. I don't think it should work that way, personally. I think it's a mistake that it works that way, but it is the way that it works. And I was supposed to wait for Wags here so that I could parry, but I wanted to clear early, so I decided not to wait for Wags. And that just basically means I can't parry. If I want to heavy him, I'm going to have to heavy off a heavy counter, which is fine given who the defender is. But this heavy is going to hit pretty hard, 51.6k. And that's not even with any aptitudes. That's just with throwing L1s. And at this fight, I don't even know why I'm throwing L1s. It doesn't really make that much sense, but yeah. Here he really does not want to throw a heavy. Here he finally throws a heavy, and we are going to rely on the heavy to get him out of the final 15% of the fight, because obviously he's going to auto block every single hit that I have, unless I have enough buffs to bypass it. But that heavy does crit there, and the fight does go down in a minute and a half. That fight could have been a lot faster had I had Wags. It would have been much, much faster, because I would have just been able to parry heavy basically the entire fight. But now we're going to go on to a pretty interesting fight on my alt account. This is going to be Node 9, Section 1 Dark Phoenix, a rank 4 Dark Phoenix. And I'm going to get incredibly good RNG, which is something that I can't say happens very often. I'm not going to get any hazard shift on me until after my L2. Because at this point, I'm 12 hits in. I got my first hazard shift of the fight on the 12th hit. Like, that's just, frankly, that's insane. That is ridiculous that I got that good RNG. But now that we have the Fate Seal up, the hazard shift is barely going to trigger. So here we're going to get our invisibility, start throwing the L2s, not letting her throw any specials. At the beginning of the fight, she threw an L1 into my block when I was hard blocking, which was a little bit annoying. But here we are ready to go for the kill, and we do get the 65% chance to bypass immortality. If you don't know, Hood prevents buffs, which is how he normally would count cosmics, but with her, when she has her buffs prevented or nullified, then or staggered, I guess too, then she reapplies them on herself as a passive. So the only way to shut it down is to make it fail with ability accuracy. So if you have a Fate Seal on the opponent and you trigger her immortality, or you get her to a hit that would kill her basically, then if it would fail, she'll just die, and if it wouldn't fail, then she will gain the passive still, which is, I'm sure, going to happen at some point this season, because I'm going to be doing this matchup a lot. But this next fight here, this was a really fun one. I was able to bring Mantis for just this one fight, and she absolutely destroyed it. The first L2 killed. That was Node 18, Nefaria. Actually, a placement we were having a little bit of trouble with until I was just like, oh yeah, Mantis. She hard counters him as a defender. And yeah. Anyways, let's go on to Section 2 here. We have Deathless Thanos on this node, which I actually think is a great placement. I think the only better option for this fight than Hood is Chi. Chi would absolutely destroy this fight, but Hood works well, obviously, because with his... Wow, I have no idea why I'm yawning. I just woke up 3 hours ago. I have no idea. But anyways. Deathless Thanos. what I was trying to say is that when Hood is duped, his Sig ability gives him stun immunity while he is invisible, which is how he works for this node. Heavy countering Deathless Thanos' heavy is not something I would recommend. I just practiced it when I was taking him as a boss as like a last ditch effort to counter the heavy attack to detonate my bullets if they're about to expire. And then I just kind of got so good at it that now I just do it all the time. But if you're using Hood, unless you practice it excessively, please do not do it. It's not really that safe. The timing is a lot tighter than it looks. But yeah, we're just going to throw some L2s. We were able to remove his energized buff so he does not get the attack rating increase that he normally would from this node. But we are going to do the normal strategy of fighting Thanos with Hood, where you are going to rely on your basic attacks to do the first 25%, and then you'll just instantly detonate your hexes after that protection ends to get down the next 25%, and then all you have to do is repeat that one more time, and Thanos is going to be dead. So I think here... we actually go for a detonation here. That's probably not a good decision. In hindsight, that probably made the fight a good amount slower, but we'll see. It's okay. It's just not recommended by me. We're going to trigger our invisibility here because with him having 8 charges, I was not able to throw that L2 right away. And yeah, he does go down in a minute and a half. Pretty easy fight. Again, the only other better option for that fight would probably be Geoff, who could just spam special 1 and she would shrug the encroaching stun anyways. I have done that matchup with her. But now we have future Ant-Man on Safeguard, and this is the one where you have to alternate hits. This one kind of felt awkward. It didn't really go that well because I wasn't doing nearly as much damage as I thought, and I just wasn't really able to spam specials the way that I thought I would be able to. And I think oh no, it's not right there. There's one point in this fight where I throw an L1 instead of an L2 by accident because I thought I was at L2. Maybe that was another fight. I'm not entirely sure. But anyways, yeah, heavy attack gets him to 18%. I am going to do this exact fight again in War 4, and it is going to go way better. Like, the fight's already over at this point. It just went a lot faster. I don't really know why. But, yeah. Not that that one was bad. That one was obviously very safe, and I ended at like 96% health or something like that. But I do still have, 4 fights left? Yeah, I had an 8-fight war this time. So, first off, we are going to be doing Node 38 Sasquatch. And for some reason, I remember this fight just being really slow, because I think I timed my detonation wrong. So normally, the way that you want to fight Sasquatch with Hood is you want to get all of your ramp, and then you want to like detonate your ramp a little bit later than against most champions, because with Sasquatch you're obviously going to have the regen, and in War the regen's pretty significant. Like, it's a very good amount of regen. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to ramp up as much as you can and then time it to completely bypass the regeneration. So throw your heavy attack at like 50% instead of higher than that you would normally do, because normally a little bit over 50% of your damage source is from your, like right there, that did like no damage, and I don't know why I would detonate it there. It was really stupid. It's a really dumb thing to do in the moment. But yeah, normally a little bit over half your damage comes from your hexes, but in this fight you want to time it so that's about half. Like, you want to wait for the protection to be down, but also for the Wrath to have just triggered or have just ended, so Sasquatch has no protection. But anyways, we are still going to get this fight down. It's still not going to be an issue. It was just quite a bit longer than it needed to be. And actually, I think I said that the Fam was a fight I took once again in War 4. I think I take this fight again in War 3, if I recall correctly. And it goes a lot better. Like, less than half the duration of this fight. No, War 3 was Sentinel. War 4 would have been Sasquatch. I don't know. I don't recall exactly, but I think right here, yeah, Wrath triggers, so now I know I'm able to detonate with the heavy. And if you're wondering why the, what's it called? Why the Unstoppable's not triggering on Sasquatch, that is just my Fate Seal failing it. So your Fate Seal has a 65% chance of making the Unstoppable during Wrath fail, and I think I just got really good RNG in that fight, and it failed like 4 out of 4 times, or however many times it was. But this fight here is Mixed Master Medusa. Pretty straightforward fight with Hood. I did this fight probably 4 or 5 times when Hood was a tactic attacker with the unblockable, which didn't really change anything about this fight specifically. But yeah, you just want to get to your L2 before she gets to her 3 Furies and she's able to auto block you. But the reason Hood is really safe for this is because even if you do accidentally let her get her Furies, as long as you're invisible, you can just let her auto block you and you'll consume the Furies and not get stunned. So it's a very safe, like a very safe matchup. And then here I think we're going to detonate with our heavy and then just go for an L2. Why would I bait a special first? What am I doing? I could have just thrown the L2 into her block. I just wasted like 5 seconds. Wow, really selling on fight time. I don't know why. But now we're on to the Hazard Shift Island. And I have this fight here, node 44 Maestro. This one does not go perfectly. I think I actually lose a fair amount of my health, like probably over half, because it just wasn't a perfect fight. I don't know. I honestly haven't watched it back a single time since I did it a week ago. So let's see. So go for heavy at the start. That's correct. Oh, we got 3 out of 3 poisons to start the fight. 4 out of 4. So that's why we lost so much health, is because the RNG was so terrible at the start. Yeah, at one point I had 6 poisons on a 40% chance. Some of those hits were even lower. It was a 16% chance to trigger Hazard Shift. So yeah, just brutal RNG in this fight at the beginning. Kind of gotten the fight in control right there. And that's a bug. Okay, if you're wondering why I got hit by that L2, that is a known bug with Hood, where for some reason when you have your over a 100% chance to trigger your miss, sometimes the miss will just fail. And the first hit of that L2 landed while I had a 100% chance to miss. So it was the bug. It happens very, very rarely. In fact, that is the first time it has ever happened in Alliance War. I've had it happen in other content. I've never had the bug trigger in Alliance War, and there it caused me to eat an L2 because my miss, which should have been guaranteed in that scenario, was failed for no reason. It was the bug. Anyways, we still got the fight down fast even with all that, and this is going to be a rank 4, or sorry, this was actually a rank 3, excuse me, Adam Warlock on the on node 47, which is the falter one. However, we're not going to falter because bro's already dead. In fact, something interesting about this war, one of the guys in one of the other BGs in my alliance, Matt, he had the same fight against Adam Warlock, and he was using rank 4 Spiral, and we decided to race, and I did win that race because his fight was probably like 5 or 6 seconds slower. I don't remember. I did watch his fight, but I don't remember right now. That is going to be it for the war, though. We did win the war, which is great. I believe the score was 14-59 or something like that. I took a screenshot in the game right before I did this recording, so I'm pretty sure it was 14-59, but we won very handily, and we do start off the season with a 1-0 record, which is great. I have 0 deaths on the season, and my PSR is going to be 14 out of 14 fights soloed, or 100%, with 6 of those being on my main and 8 being on my alt. And last season, I actually did not track my Deathless streak just because it wasn't real war, so I kind of put a pause on my Deathless streak, and we're going to resume it this season. However, unfortunately, I did die in the second last fight of last season, so I only have a 1-fight streak going into this season. That was actually my only death of last real war season. When I say last season, I'm not talking about the war raid season, because that didn't really count. I mean the last real season, which is technically 2 seasons ago. But yeah, I have a deathless streak of 15 fights, so 14 this war plus the 1 from the war 12, the fight after I died, and I have a active streak on my main account of 69 fights, which is pretty nice, and a 9-fight streak on my alt. So that is going to be all for today. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.